I want to read for you the major headlines today. Again, today is the first anniversary of the Biden administration. Here's the New York Times, America in Focus. The lowest point in my lifetime, how 14 independent voters feel about America. And there's a graphic of Joe Biden with handwriting, and the word hope is crossed out. The word build back better, crossed out. Headline at CNN, Biden leaves Democrats hanging as midterms burst into full swing. Headline, NBC News, Biden ends first year as president with bleak, discouraging marks from the public. Subheadline, in the new NBC News poll, Americans give Biden low marks on overall job approval, the pandemic, and the economy as he reaches the one-year mark. Headline from the Associated Press, Biden approval hits new low at 1 year mark. So what is the Biden administration doing to turn this around? The Biden inaugural to blanket airwaves today using leftover money from the Biden inauguration. The Biden administration intends to blanket the airwaves with a video narrated by Tom Hanks to try to make a Morning in America message. Very famously, Ronald Reagan released an ad in the run-up to his reelection in 1984, and it was called Morning in America. It was a very positive pitch for President Reagan. It was a very famous ad for the president, and it really set the narrative tone.
It's morning again in America. Today, more men and women will go to work than ever before in our country's history. With interest rates at about half the record highs of 1980, nearly 2,000 families today will buy new homes, more than at any time in the past 4 years. This afternoon, 6,500 young men and women will be married. And with inflation at less than half of what it was just 4 years ago, they can look forward with confidence to the future. It's morning again in America. And under the leadership of President Reagan, our country is prouder and stronger and better. Why would we ever want to return to where we were less than 4 short years ago?
Sort of the most famous campaign ads in American history. Morning again in America. The problem is that Americans here are spelling morning with M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G. It's not Morning in America, but this is the theme that Biden wants to get by using Tom Hanks to sell at America that Americans aren't feeling right now. Now, there's a problem. There is a problem. This is beyond parody. This has literally been done before by the Simpsons.
Hello, I'm Tom Hanks. The U.S. government has lost its credibility, so it's borrowing some of mine. If only we're brave enough. Brave enough to live through 2 of the most difficult years many of us can remember. Brave enough to pull ourselves up again and again. America is the home of the brave. It's why we keep getting up, no matter how many times we get knocked down. Like with our economy. It isn't all the way back, but it's getting stronger. We may be entering year 3 of a pandemic none of us wanted or expected, but we're moving.
So they use Tom Hanks to try to make a case that, hey, we've not recovered. I mean, go back to the Morning in America ad. Inflation is down. People are getting married again. People are going back to work. The economy is rolling. And they've got Tom Hanks to come in with their video launch today and say, hey, at least we're moving forward. That's something. But the problem is this literally is a Simpsons movie. But in 2007, the Simpsons released a movie. There's this dome over Springfield where Homer and Marge live. And they see an ad for a new Grand Canyon. And they realize the government's plan to deal with this situation in Springfield is to blow it up and tell people that it's really a new Grand Canyon. And who do they use to do their ad campaign to tell them that this disaster where they've nuked an American city to solve a problem and created this massive hole in the ground that it's actually a good thing, and it's a new American tourist destination. They bring in Tom Hanks to make this pile of manure sellable.
Hello, I'm Tom Hanks. The U.S. government has lost its credibility, so it's borrowing some of mine.
Tousle my hair, Mr. Hanks.
Sure thing, son. Now, I'm pleased to tell you all about the new Grand Canyon. Coming this weekend. It's east of Shelbyville and south of Capital City.
That's where Springfield is.
It's nowhere near where anything is or ever was. This is Tom Hanks saying if you're going to pick a government to trust, why not this one?
Y'all, that is literally what the Simpsons did, and now the Biden administration, they trotted out Tom Hanks to do the same thing, and he comes across just as credible. We're 3 years into the pandemic. Yeah, inflation's high and gas prices are high, but at least we're moving forward. It goes on and on and on. If this is their morning in America, they are so deeply screwed in November. They're trying to get people to focus on this video, and the headlines really genuinely write themselves that it's bad. Joe Biden is now at his lowest level in the polling average, a double-digit disapproval for Joe Biden. The Republicans are now at an all-time high in the generic ballot for who do you want in charge of Congress. That's not good. And then the press conference last night, the president essentially authorizes the Russians to invade Ukraine. They're doing a full scramble mode over that. And not only are they having to do a full scramble mode over that, the president also suggested that if his voting measure doesn't pass, the midterms might not be legitimate. He actually went there with the press last night.
Thank you, Mr. President. Speaking of voting rights legislation, if this isn't passed, do you still believe the upcoming election will be fairly conducted and its results will be legitimate?
Well, it all depends on whether or not we're able to make the case to the American people that some of this is being set up to try to alter the outcome of the election.
Oh, that wasn't what you want to do. That's not a statement that, my gosh, you want to not be Donald Trump, and here you are casting doubt. It doesn't help. Kamala Harris had to be on with Savannah Guthrie, and it didn't go well there either. Kamala Harris is not well able to defend the president on this. Neither is James Clyburn. James Clyburn himself, the number 3 member of the Democratic caucus in the House, didn't go well for him either. He's in full the election's going to be stolen mode. The Democrats are having a hard time scrambling there. Here's Savannah Guthrie with Kamala Harris. Listen to this.
Let's talk about another comment the president made. He openly cast doubt on whether the 2022 midterm elections would be legitimate. He said it all depends, which is astonishing to hear a president question whether our elections will be legitimate. We've heard it before, but not from this president. Is he really concerned that we may not have fair and free elections?
The president has been consistent on this issue, and the issue at hand, I was there last night in the chamber of the Senate, and the issue is that there are 2 bills, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act, that have been the solution that has been offered to address the fact that around our country, states have put in place laws that are purposely making it more difficult for the American people to vote. Laws which will be felt by at least 55 million Americans, regardless of their party affiliation, their race, their gender, or their geographic location.
Well, to the point, though, because
so
those bills were debated. The bills were debated and they didn't have.
She's doing the laugh.
If I may finish.
But the specific question, if you don't mind, does he think, now that these bills haven't been passed, that the 22 midterms won't be legitimate or fair or free?
Let's not conflate issues. So.
Oh, she can't answer it. This is not good for them. This is not good. It's not only that, Jen Psaki has had to go to Fox News to push back on the talking point.
Well, first, I've talked to the president a lot about this, and he absolutely is not predicting that the 2022 elections would be illegitimate. The point he was raising was both that in 2020, even amongst challenging circumstances, efforts to suppress the vote, and the midst of a pandemic, there was record turnout. Democrats and Republicans, record turnout to go to the polls. And the point he was making is that the former president asked a number of states, 7 or more in fact, to overturn the outcome of the election.
That's not what he said last night. You can't make this about Trump. He's the one who cast doubt on it himself. This is just, that's why the press conference probably wasn't a good thing to do. The problem, though, is they had to do it because he hasn't had one in a long time. It got so bad that even the New York Times was calling him out for not doing a press conference. The real problem here, though, is I hate to use the word optics, but people do care about optics, whether you like it or not. For the president to cast doubt on the election last night, unless he gets his way, and then to not get his way, doesn't help him. It becomes a very bad talking point headed into the midterms that Joe Biden is preemptively casting doubt. And then today, to try to do a Morning in America message with Tom Hanks, and that message is not really Morning in America. It's, yeah, things suck, but it could be worse. I mean, again, listen to what Tom Hanks actually says.
If only we're brave enough to live through two of the most difficult years many of us can remember.
So we've got to be brave to live through the Biden administration?
Brave enough to pull ourselves up again and again.
We gotta pull ourselves up again and again because of the Biden administration?
America is the home of the brave.
Yes, we
That's
are.
why we keep getting up, no matter how many times we get knocked down.
So he's acknowledging we keep getting knocked down?
Like with our economy.
So he's acknowledging what?
It isn't all the way back, but it's getting stronger.
It's not all the way back?
We may
What?
be entering year 3.
We're entering year 3 of a pandemic Joe
expected.
Biden said
Moving.
we would get rid of? Oh my gosh, this is actually the re-election message for Joe Biden, and it really is a parody of The Simpsons.
Hello, I'm Tom Hanks. The U.S. government has lost its credibility, so it's borrowing some of mine.